Jaylani Hussein is the Executive Director of CAIR-Minnesota. He joins us live from Minneapolis. Jaylani, thanks so much for joining us. So, listening there to Kristi Noem's comments on this incident, I mean, one would believe that she was operating in a different reality, one that doesn't show, where we don't see multiple video angles showing what seems to be the woman trying to drive away. I mean, what's your reaction to those comments?
I mean, the videos speak for itself, and we have not only just videos, we have eyewitness. We also have clearly, these videos that clearly show what the secretary is refusing to acknowledge, which is this was an observer, someone who was documenting what ICE was doing legally. Following their constitutionally protected right. And you could see in the video that she's actually pointing at them, like, pass me. There's other cars that already passed. And so she's waving at them. And this one particular car stops and agents come out. And then she realizes that they're coming for her. So she begins to back up and slowly start moving forward before she's killed. And so this is the worst case scenario. And no matter how the secretary lies, the evidence is very clear. The footage is very clear. It is sad. It's horrifying. And my city and our community here tonight grieve for this young woman. She has two last names, but Renee Good is her name. And we stood outside just a few minutes ago. I just came from a rally where thousands of people came out in support of her. And we talked about this. Law enforcement talked about this, especially in the Twin Cities. What we are realizing and what the American public should know is that ICE agents, especially many of these who are now working in these streets, are untrained professionals. They don't know what they're doing. They're trigger happy. And they are literally causing a dangerous situation. And we saw this morning and today the worst versions of that, killing an innocent young woman who had a lot of promising life ahead of her. And as we learn more about her detail in her life, I think it will be a symbol of the reality of how dangerous and what the cost could be for citizens of this country.
And Jaylani, I mean, is this something that you and your organisation saw coming, this kind of escalation in violence by ICE agents? Because just this week, I believe you called for concrete actions to protect members of the Somali American community. Why did you need to do that?
Well, we have seen, again, the Somali American community being used as a scapegoat to target this community. We have seen, fraud as the title of what's being used. We have seen ICE being used against our community, even though the overwhelming majority of our community are U.S. citizens. In fact, 60% of us are born here in the United States, and a very young community. We've seen our businesses being attacked. We've seen Elon Musk and others, press the thumb on X and other places to project this type of a narrative. We know where they're going. This is a political rhetoric to try to drive a political point. They do not want to talk about the Epstein files. They do not want to talk about Venezuela. They do not want to talk about the fact that Americans cannot afford groceries. They don't want to talk about the fact, the reality that many Americans in this country are struggling. And this government has failed to provide the resources and the support for most Americans in this country. So we knew that. And we've been focusing on the Somali Americans while they prepared to attack Venezuela, as we saw.
And I mean, this incident, we've already seen thousands of people turn out in the streets to protest what's happened and call for action against the officer who perpetrated this incident against this woman. I mean, the fact that this was, as you say, a legal observer, not even someone that was being directly targeted by ICE, do you think that's going to really make Americans think, wow, okay, this is a dangerous situation that we're in? It's more than just those communities that ICE is targeting that are at risk.
Well, we've seen now that ICE began to bring hundreds here. And now just a day ago, before all of this, we heard that they're going to bring 2,000 ICE agents to Minnesota. And so we were expecting, God forbid, something like this could happen. The reality that an incident could get involved where someone could get hurt. We have seen incidents before, even in Minnesota, where someone was shot by ICE, I believe. And so we've had previous incidents of very dangerous maneuvers. In fact, one of our law enforcement agencies called it out clearly, saying, based on the footage that they saw, not this incident of Renee's murder, but actually a previous incident, saying that they are reckless, they are untrained, and they're going to get somebody killed. And so the reality is that we all have seen how dangerous the situation can get, how ill-trained that they are, and how they're being deployed from a political perspective, not even policy related. They are literally going around to neighborhoods, talking to U.S. citizens, declaring and asking for them to identify who they are. And especially in the Somali American community, going to businesses and other organizations just because they're Somali, not because there's any shred of evidence that they've committed crime. And now we have seen hundreds of these YouTubers come into our city and defaming businesses, among other things. And so this is an onslaught against Minnesota, partially because Minnesota is a very successful state. People are doing well in Minnesota. Minneapolis is considered one of the happiest places in the country. And not only that, but also the governor here, who obviously ran against, at the time, President Trump. He was the vice president candidate. And now we're seeing this really being a political attack, because he's targeting the governor of Minnesota and also the governor of California. So this is not really ICE enforcement. This is not about immigration. This is a political push by the president to really create chaos on U.S. streets, and particularly streets where Democrats control, because we know in reality that there are other streets that he's refusing to send ICE to, which his colleagues and his friends on the Republican aisle, those states and those cities are not getting the same attention that you're seeing in Democrat-controlled cities and states.
Jaylani Hussein, Executive Director of Minnesota's leading Muslim civil rights and advocacy organisation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Tisra.